Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Every classroom has the potential to be extraordinary, and the Logitech Reach adjustable content camera is your partner in making that happen. With its flexible arm and clear video, you can now showcase everything from detailed drawings to live experiments, ensuring that every student is engaged and involved. Whether you're teaching in person or online, Logitech Reach helps you connect with your students in a whole new way. Ready to take your lessons further? Visit logitech.com/reach and elevate your classroom to a whole new level. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics Bits and Bytes, the podcast within the podcast where we explore cutting-edge technologies and innovative ways to enhance the educational experience. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Adam Todd, and on today's Bits and Bytes podcast shorts episode, we're going beyond grading with AI for student feedback. Now, what if your students could get meaningful, personalized feedback instantly? And I don't mean just a grade on the top of the paper or a smiley face. I'm talking about real guidance, the kind that actually helps them grow. It might sound like it's a dream, but it's true. AI is now making it kind of real for teachers. We've heard a lot about artificial intelligence being used to grade essays or score multiple choice tests. But what's even more exciting is how AI is now being used for more formative feedback, the kind that tells students what they did well, what they may need to work on, and how they can improve in their next draft. Tools like Your Way Learning or even ChatGPT are taking student writing and generating focused, actionable feedback on everything from structure and clarity to voice and evidence, often in less than 10 seconds. You can paste in a piece of student writing and prompt the tool with something like, give this fourth grader 2 compliments and 1 suggestion to improve their opinion writing. And in moments, you'll have a tailored feedback report that's ready to share for the student to revise their work. But here's where it gets really powerful. Some teachers are now taking another step and are encouraging students to use these tools themselves before turning in an assignment. So students will run their drafts through an AI tool to get suggestions, reflect on the input, and make revisions. This helps build metacognition and ownership over the learning process. Many of these platforms can also adapt to the tone or reading level of the feedback, so instead of just a generic or overly academic comment, a 10-year-old might read something like, "Great start, try adding in 1 more reason to support your opinion," which is far more accessible and encouraging. Of course, AI doesn't replace the teacher, but it should support the teacher now. It gives us another layer of insight and allows us to reach more students more quickly. Still, it's crucial that we apply human lens reviewing, adjusting, and ensuring that AI-generated feedback is contextually appropriate and pedagogically sound. And like any tool, it needs ethical guardrails, especially when it comes to student data, originality, and access. If you're curious and want to try it out, start small. Your Way Learning's feedback assistant tool is a great entry point. Or try using ChatGPT to simulate a 2 stars and a wish peer review for your next writing activity. You might be surprised how it might boost engagement and how thoughtful the revisions become. So next time you think about feedback, think beyond the grade, think about growth, think about how AI can give your students the guidance that they need right when they need it most. Now for more on grading with AI for student feedback, here are our Google Notebook language model AI hosts, Bits and Bytes.
You know, it's been really interesting watching all the discussion around AI in education, especially how it might help teachers with giving feedback. I was even scrolling through that ChatGPT to Teachers Facebook group the other day.
Oh, yeah.
The interest level is just, wow, it's huge. It really points to a core need, I think.
Absolutely. And what's really compelling, I find, is the potential for AI to actually change the game for formative feedback.
Right.
Learning science has told us for ages, feedback needs to be timely, it needs to be targeted if it's going to work.
Yeah. But the reality for teachers, It's just incredibly demanding, isn't it?
It really is.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're going to dive deep into today. We really want to explore how AI can be a genuine asset for educators.
Specifically looking at grades 2 through high school, right?
Yep, grades 2 through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Our kind of mission here is to uncover the opportunity, the real wins that AI might offer for making feedback better.
But also being realistic about the challenges.
Oh, definitely. Being clear-eyed about the potential bumps in the road.
So for you, the listener, maybe you're looking to get a solid understanding pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're going to try and cut through some of the hype.
Right. Get to the practical stuff.
Yeah.
How can AI actually help with formative feedback in a way that, makes a real difference for teachers and for students?
What can it really do now? What should we maybe be a bit cautious about?
And what are some, actionable things teachers could even try?
Okay, so maybe let's start right at the beginning. Why does this whole feedback conversation even matter so much?
Yeah.
Why is it so fundamental to learning?
Well, at its core, effective learning really hinges on feedback. It's about getting information. When students get timely, targeted info about their work, they can figure out, okay, where am I? Where do I need to get to?
But how do we get there?
Exactly. It lets them adjust course, right while they're learning.
Right. But back to that reality check for teachers. Packed classrooms, stacks of assignments, providing that kind of high-quality, timely feedback consistently, it can feel impossible sometimes.
Oh, totally.
I still remember grading stacks of lab reports back when I taught high school. You'd have 125, maybe 150 of them.
Wow.
You just felt like you were trying to keep your head above water, honestly.
That's such a common feeling. And now, think about this. AI is getting pretty good at helping students with those summative things, right?
Yeah, the big essays, the final projects.
Exactly. Those 5-paragraph essays, lab reports, argumentative papers, even portfolio projects.
Okay.
So if AI can assist there, then the formative feedback, that ongoing guidance during the learning, becomes even more critical.
Ah, that's a really interesting point. So the practice, the smaller steps, that's where the real learning has to happen now.
Precisely. That's where they develop the actual understanding. Think of formative feedback, like giving students more at-bat.
More chances to swing.
Yeah. The faster they get feedback on those, lowest stakes tasks, the more chances they have to learn from mistakes, tweak things, and improve before they get to the big test or the final paper.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, we've had technology trying to help with feedback before, right? Things like automated essay graders on standardized tests.
Right.
Or those comment banks built into learning management systems. How is this new generative AI different? What's the real shift?
I think the key difference is really adaptiveness and responsiveness. Those older systems, often pretty rigid algorithms, focused on surface stuff mostly. And comment banks, well, they aim for specifics, but they were static, right?
Took ages to set up, too.
Exactly. Teachers had to spend so much time creating and organizing comments, and if a student's work didn't quite fit a comment...
It felt really generic, like a square peg in a round hole sometimes.
That's a perfect analogy. Generative AI, though, it offers something potentially much more dynamic. It can actually look at the specific content, the style of that student's work, and generate feedback that's directly related to it. It moves beyond those, one-size-fits-all replies.
Okay. That does sound like a pretty fundamental shift.
It is.
So, realistically, what can AI do right now to help teachers with feedback? And crucially, what are the limitations we absolutely need to keep in mind? Because it still feels pretty early days for this stuff.
You're right. It's definitely still evolving. And a really crucial point for teachers is AI doesn't just work on its own.
Okay.
To be really effective, it needs context. The teacher has to provide info, about the students, the goals of the assignment, what specific things to look for.
So you have to guide it, give it directions.
Precisely. Now, a big limitation we have to talk about is hallucinations.
Right. That sounds problematic.
It can be. This is where the AI might just make stuff up. Incorrect information, flagging grammar errors that aren't even there.
Or inventing content.
Or inventing content. We've seen examples where an AI was asked for feedback on an essay about, say, the American Revolution. And it started spitting out comments about the Industrial Revolution. Just completely irrelevant stuff.
Whoa. That could be incredibly confusing for a student.
Totally.
It really underscores that AI doesn't understand in the human sense, does it? It's amazing at pattern matching in text.
Incredible at it.
But it doesn't have that nuanced comprehension a teacher brings.
That's such a critical distinction. AI might point out lots of things, but a teacher's expertise is knowing, okay, what's the most important piece of feedback for this student right now based on where they are in their learning?
Right, understanding the individual.
Yeah. AI can't replicate that pedagogical insight.
So really, AI-generated feedback, it should be viewed as a starting point,
Yeah.
like a first draft of feedback.
Exactly. Never the final word. It needs that human review.
Just like we tell students not to just copy-paste an AI essay and turn it in without understanding it.
Precisely the same principle. Teachers shouldn't just pass along AI feedback without carefully checking it. That human review is absolutely essential for accuracy and, making sure the feedback actually helps the student learn.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's tempting to think AI could just automate this whole time-consuming task.
I know, the temptation is strong.
But that critical human oversight, non-negotiable.
Absolutely not. It's about augmenting the teacher, not replacing their expertise.
Okay, let's get practical then. Thinking about those grades 2 through 12 teachers, what does basic AI feedback look like? Maybe from just a general tool, and how can teachers start getting, more helpful results?
Sure. So if a teacher just throws a paragraph into a general AI tool like ChatGPT or something and says, give feedback on this,
Yeah.
the feedback is often, pretty broad, not very specific. It might say, good job overall, maybe add more detail.
I saw an example like that. It was
Right.
quick, yeah, but not super targeted. And the format wasn't great for a kid to actually use.
Right. But teachers can definitely improve that output. The key is being more specific in the prompt.
Okay.
So instead of just give feedback, maybe say, please provide feedback on this persuasive paragraph, focusing specifically on the strength of the reasons and the clarity of the topic sentence.
So tell the AI exactly what skill or objective you're focused on.
Exactly. The more specific you are about what to look for, the more likely the feedback will actually be useful.
Makes sense.
Another technique is asking for a particular style of feedback, like using how might you questions.
Oh, I like that. So it encourages reflection.
Yeah, instead of just telling them what's wrong, you could prompt, using how might your questions, give feedback on this paragraph, focusing on how the student could strengthen their evidence.
That's a great tip for making the AI feedback more constructive, less just directive. Now, what about tools built specifically for education? You mentioned brisk teaching earlier. How does something like that approach AI feedback?
Yeah, so tools like Brisk are designed with teachers' workflows in mind. It integrates right into Google Docs, which tons of schools use.
Okay, convenient.
It has a give feedback feature. A teacher selects some student work, maybe specifies the grade level, and then can give some instructions or choose from preset prompts.
And what kind of feedback does it usually generate? What's the structure?
Often, by default, Brisk uses a framework like GLOW, GROW, and WONDERING.
Glow, grow, wondering.
GLOW points out something done well. GROW suggests an area for improvement. And WONDERING poses a question to get the student thinking more deeply.
Huh.
We've heard from teachers that they find that structure really helpful. Some even start using that GLOW, GROW, WONDERING language in their regular class discussions.
That sounds like a really positive, balanced way to frame feedback. But what if a teacher, or maybe a whole school, has their own rubric they need to use? Specific criteria.
Yeah, good question. Brisk can handle that. You can integrate rubrics right into the process. You can either build a rubric in Brisk or just paste in one you already have.
Oh, nice.
Then, when you use the give feedback feature with that rubric active, Brisk drafts comments as Google Docs suggestions that are directly lined up with the specific criteria in your rubric.
Wow, okay. That sounds incredibly useful for making sure the AI feedback is actually targeted to the assignment goals.
Exactly.
And because there are Google Doc comments, the teacher still has the final say. Right. Review, edit, delete.
Totally. Full control. The teacher can review every single suggestion, tweak the wording, add their own personal insights, or just dismiss ones that aren't quite right.
So it really acts like an assistant. Sophisticated assistant, maybe.
That's a great way to put it. It gives a really solid, well-structured starting point, saves a ton of time, but still lets the teacher layer in their own expertise and knowledge of that specific student.
We did touch on the risk of overly positive feedback or maybe inaccurate stuff earlier. How does a tool like Brisk handle that? Does it still happen?
Well, while Brisk is designed to be constructive, any AI can still sometimes be overly positive or, occasionally make a mistake. It's not foolproof. Right. Which is why that teacher review step remains absolutely critical. Brisk tries to give a balanced starting point, but the teacher's judgment is always, always the final filter.
And you mentioned Brisk uses more advanced AI, like GPT-4. Does that generally mean better, more reliable feedback compared to, say, the free version of ChatGPT?
Generally speaking, yes. Those more advanced models have been trained on way more data, more diverse data, so they can often provide more sophisticated analysis, more nuanced feedback.
But still not perfect.
But still not perfect, and definitely not a replacement for the teacher's understanding and review.
Teachers, are you looking for resources that spark creativity and inspire learning? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From comprehensive lesson plans and interactive lab books to engaging informational test prep passages, Highly Motivated has everything you need to keep your students motivated and excited to learn. Whether it's a quick activity or a full unit, these resources are designed to save you time and help students succeed. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. Search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today.
Okay, let's really zero in on the pros now. The big advantages AI could bring to formative feedback for these teachers, grades 2 through 12. But let's, keep the risks in mind too. What are the most compelling pluses you see?
I think maybe the biggest one is just the potential for more timely feedback.
Yeah, speed.
Speed and volume. AI can process student work way faster than a person can. This frees up incredibly valuable teacher time.
Time they could use for
lesson planning, for working one-on-one with students who need extra help, for designing really engaging activities, all this stuff that gets squeezed out when you're buried under grading.
That idea of AI as a thought partner seems really powerful too. Even if the first draft of feedback isn't perfect.
Right.
It gives the teacher a starting point, a foundation. That alone has to save a lot of time and mental energy.
Absolutely. And tools designed specifically for education, like Brisk, they also have the potential to offer more consistent feedback.
How so?
Especially when you tie it to a clear rubric. It can help ensure that all students are getting feedback that hits the key learning goals, regardless of, maybe how tired the teacher is by the 100th paper.
Yeah, grading fatigue is real.
It is.
Okay, so beyond just giving feedback on work students have done, can AI help teachers actually create the formative assessments in the first place?
Oh, definitely. This is a really exciting area. AI can be an amazing brainstorming partner for designing assessments.
Like what?
Well, there are AI prompt libraries out there specifically for educators. You can find templates to generate ideas for, say, quick check-in questions or different kinds of exit tickets.
Cool.
Imagine you need some exit ticket ideas for a 4th grade math lesson on geometry.
Okay.
You could ask the AI to brainstorm 5 different types of exit tickets for that specific lesson. It can really help teachers get creative and offer more variety.
That's a fantastic use case, AI not just for grading, but for the design of learning itself. What about helping teachers build up resources, especially newer teachers?
Yeah, huge potential there. Teachers can use AI to help draft rubrics from scratch or refine existing ones. It can help generate critical thinking questions related to a text or a topic. It can even create examples of what proficient student work might look like, student exemplars.
Wow, that would be incredibly helpful, especially if you're teaching something for the first time or just need fresh inspiration.
Exactly. It can be a real boost for teachers building their toolkit.
And it feels like this could also open the door to using a wider range of formative assessments, right? Maybe giving students more choice.
I think so. If AI can help with creating and providing initial feedback on different kinds of tasks, maybe not just written paragraphs, but outlines, concept maps, short presentations, it could make it easier for teachers to offer students more ways to show what they know, catering to different strengths and learning styles.
Okay, so lots of exciting potential there. Now let's pivot to those crucial tips. For teachers in grades 2 through 12 who are thinking, okay, maybe I want to try this, what are the key things they need to keep in mind to do it effectively and, importantly, responsibly?
Right. Tip number 1, absolutely crucial. Start with clear, specific prompts.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Exactly. The more context you give the AI learning objectives, skills to focus on, maybe even a little about the students or common misconceptions, the better the feedback will be.
Makes sense. What's next?
Second, always review the AI feedback critically before it goes to a student. Don't just accept it blindly.
Treat it like a draft.
Treat it like a draft. Personalize it. Adapt it. Does it really make sense for this kid? Does it align with your judgment? Add your own voice.
So use AI as that helpful assistant, but you're still the expert in the room.
Precisely. Also, think about the tone and format. Is it encouraging? Is it constructive? We mentioned using questions.
Yeah, the how might you framing.
Right. That can make a big difference in how students receive it. Experiment with different prompts, maybe check out some of those prompt libraries, see what works for different assignments.
What about telling the students you're using it? Transparency seems important.
Hugely important. Be open with your students. Hey, I'm experimenting with using this AI tool to help me give you feedback faster and maybe more often.
Yeah.
This builds trust. It also opens the door for really valuable conversations about AI itself, how it works, its limitations, how they might use it responsibly.
You could even evolve them somehow.
Absolutely. Maybe have them reflect on the AI feedback they received, or even use AI themselves with guidance to help revise their own work. It makes them active participants.
That's a powerful idea. What else?
Focus AI used primarily on formative assessment, those lower stakes practice tasks. Be much more cautious about using it for summative grades given the risks of inaccuracy or misunderstanding.
Right. Keep the stakes lower while we figure this out.
Exactly. Be aware of potential biases in AI models. Think about your diverse learners, English language learners, students with different needs. Does the feedback work for everyone?
Good point.
Prioritize digital safety. Understand how student data is being used by whatever tool you choose. Read the privacy policies.
Okay.
And finally, really lean into that potential we talked about using AI to help you create more varied and engaging formative assessments. Give students more ways to demonstrate learning.
So it really comes down to thoughtful integration, doesn't it? Always keeping the student and their learning journey front and center.
That's the key. Leverage the strengths, mitigate the risks, and enhance your teaching to better support your students.
Okay, so just briefly, what about AI detection tools? We hear about those a lot.
Yeah.
And this idea of like proving effort.
Yeah, detection tools exist, but well, they're probabilistic, I guess. They can have false positives, false negatives. They aren't foolproof.
So not a silver bullet for catching cheating.
Definitely not. Some tools, like Brisk, are taking a different approach. Instead of just trying to detect AI writing, they provide more information about how the document was created in Google Docs.
Like what?
Like, were there large copy-paste events? How much time was spent actively editing versus just sitting idle? It gives the teacher more context about the student's process.
So focusing more on understanding the student's workflow.
Exactly. Shifting the focus a bit from just catching to understanding and teaching. Some educators are also exploring things like prompt journals, where students document how they used AI as a tool, showing their thinking process.
Interesting. And this ties back into transparency, right? Talking openly with students.
Absolutely. If teachers are open about how they're using AI, like for feedback, it normalizes it as a tool and can lead to much more honest conversations with students about how they might be using it. There is even a teacher who did an experiment comparing feedback she wrote versus AI-generated feedback and discussed it with her class.
That's brave.
It is, but it fostered great discussion. And let's not forget, even with AI assistance, there's immense value in that face-to-face feedback moment, reading a student's reaction, offering that human support. AI can't replace that.
Very true. Quick question. Does this apply to college students too? Or is the focus really K-12 for tools like Brisk right now?
Right now, the specific tools like Brisk are primarily focused on the K-12 space. But the underlying principles, the considerations about prompting, review, transparency, bias, those almost certainly apply in higher education too. The specific tools and how they're used might differ, but the core ideas are very relevant across the board.
Okay, that makes sense. So wrapping things up, the big takeaway seems to be AI holds really exciting possibilities for improving formative feedback, for supporting teachers.
Big potential.
But we absolutely have to approach these tools thoughtfully, critically, keeping the needs of students' grades 2 through 12 and, yes, beyond, right at the forefront.
It's that balance, isn't it? Leveraging AI's strengths, the speed, the brainstorming help, while actively mitigating the risks, the hallucinations, the potential bias, through really careful prompting, thorough review, and integrating it smartly with teacher expertise.
So for you, our listener, as you digest all this, maybe think about how might you start to carefully experiment with AI in your own feedback practices in a way that helps your efficiency, but more importantly, benefits your students' learning.
Yeah, what specific formative tasks could be good, low-stakes starting points for trying out some AI assistance? Maybe try some different prompts.
And remember that review step and personalizing it and being transparent with your students.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all your insights today. This has been incredibly helpful.
My pleasure. It was great digging into this. It's such an important topic right now.
It really is. It's clear AI is changing things fast in education, And it's just so vital for educators to stay informed, think critically, and figure out how to best use these tools to really help students succeed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
For more on Classroom Dynamics, follow us on X at Class Dynamics or on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. And be sure to search Classroom Dynamics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast shows.